Hello everybody, welcome to another trip report reading video. Gonna be looking at a few this time because a lot of these are relatively short, but I had a thought tonight. I was like, has anyone in their life ever decided to combine ketamine with DXM? I was like, if you got ketamine, why would you do that? Like, I don't know if there's anyone out there who has tried both DXM and ketamine and swears by DXM as the better of the two. I don't think that person exists. Maybe I'm wrong. I will admit, the reason I got curious to look up this combination is because I did think about doing it myself. For those who don't know, as I mentioned in an earlier video, I'm on Spravato therapy, which, the long story short, is ketamine but legal. You go to a doctor's office and they give it to you, and there's like a limited amount they give to you, obviously. It's enough for like a proper trip, don't get me wrong. But I was like, I just, every now, you ever get an idea where you're like, God damn it, I wish I didn't have that idea because now I might actually do it. I thought to myself, I've had some really incredible experiences with ketamine at this doctor's office, but I feel like I could handle more. But they're not gonna give me more because this is the maximum, this is like the standard dose. Is that something I want to do just to get high? Let me make that clear. DXM is something I do very fucking rarely for good reason. That's not, I don't want to, you shouldn't do that shit that often. I mean, like, okay, part of it is that I want to get really fucking high. Part of it is because I want to explore my own consciousness. Those are often the same thing, is the thing. Like, People sometimes distinguish those. People who like do drugs are often like, I'm expanding my consciousness, I'm exploring my inner mind, and that's often true. But like, you don't gotta pretend you're not also enjoying the feeling of being high as fuck. Because I know I am. You can do both at the same time. And that's what I'm interested in. Will I actually take DXM before a Spravato appointment? I don't know. Maybe not. It's just one of those things where it's like, technically, would I have a deeper dissociative experience than I've ever had before in my life, and would that be very interesting? Yes. But also, do I really want to do fucking DXM before a... I don't know, man. Just feels instinctively like something I'm not supposed to do. Anyway, I've been rambling long enough. Let's get to these trip reports. In case I've bored you by now, let's get right into the salvia one. Because yes, someone decided to combine DXM with ketamine and salvia and morning glory seeds. So let's read about this. This one's called The Big Trick. Uploaded to arrow.org on January 22nd, 2002 by Fed. I have smoked salvia many times, at least 15 or so. I've always used the 5X extract, and I almost always get the same results. Except for this time. Every time I smoke salvia, I have an experience of deja vu. It's like a salvia space that is basically there no matter what setting I'm actually in. It's really hard to put into words what it's like, but I can honestly say that salvia is the most potent, albeit shortest acting, psychedelic around. Given that, I'm usually able to keep my mind pretty straight during the trip, and so I don't freak out and basically keep in mind that I'm just fucked up. However, the other day, me and two friends were at this one kid's house. The kid whose house it was, I'll call him R, and me, had drank some of the morning glory extraction we had made, as well as snorting about 50 What? I'm just gonna like show what I'm looking at on screen here. It just goes from here to... I don't know, man. I'm just gonna read the words that are on the screen. They snorted 50. T suggested that me and him smoke some of the salvia I had. R was fucked up from the morning glory and K, so he passed. Getting a lighter was, like away? What do you I'm sorry. Getting a lighter was an ordeal, because I had ruined mine cooking up the K earlier, but anyways. We took out R's bong, very cool I might add, and I filled the entire slider up with the shaky salvia 5X. I lit it and held the flame to the material. I inhaled a huge hit of the hot, nasty tasting shit, smoke, and held it in. As I held it, T took his hit off of what was left. I saw him finish his hit, and then somehow the bowl got blown on R's bed, causing a ball of glowing ashes to explode on the covers. It was after that when I started to lose it. Instantly, I was in the salvia space. This time was totally different. Perhaps due to the ego dissolving DXM and K, I started believing that the entire world, all things I considered real, were just facades for some big trick to make me think I was real. Now it was all coming apart. I looked around my friend's room and thought that everything was really fake, and I couldn't believe that I had fallen for it. T was fucked up now too, and he seemed to be in on the game. He kept laughing, which made me freak out a little, and I think I was trying to say something to him. I was just watching the two of us, and I realized that he was fake too. I kept trying to pick up a sweater that was on my lap to see if I was real or not, but it didn't much work. It felt like I had to proceed through a system of hallways and doors or perception to enter the scene of reality, which I did, but it was a never-ending cycle. Thankfully, the experience wore off before I went nuts, and me and T talked about what happened. He said that he felt like he was in my head and could tell what I was thinking. The scary part was that what he said was true. After a bit, we decided to smoke some more and had a more traditional experience. I'll never forget what happened that day. It was the most gone my mind has ever been. In the words of T, salvia is way too gnarly for some people, so they don't get it. Damage by Dissociatives. The DXM and Ketamine trip report uploaded to airwood.org on August 4th, 2000 by Moonfairy3. After relatively frequent use of DXM, mainly Caricidin HBP, and prescription of unknown dosage, but suspected high, plus the use of ketamine, I have experienced either hypochondria or the startings of hopefully short-term brain damage. I have not been using these drugs long, only this year, but I have experienced some minor differences, mainly visual and in my thought patterns. I have generally decreased emotions, especially after tripping. For a long time after the expected downtime, I will be completely void of emotion. No pain, no sorrow, no excitement. It's not lethargic, but it's complete calmness, without any motivation to do anything that isn't absolutely necessary. It's something like taking in the entire world without being overwhelmed, extreme mellowness without worry or paranoia, peaceful emptiness. Visually, I'm pretty messed up. I see tracers on neon lights, exit signs, and especially digital numbers. I have real trouble placing things in chronological order, my own experiences, and so I've decided to quit. Again. The drugs started to get weird on me. I burned out. My last hard trip was in a hotel room with one of my best friends. She passed out and I proceeded to wig out and become the most paranoid, scared, and lonely I have ever been. I cannot even begin to describe how lonely I was, not to mention bawling my eyes out because of my mother. There was nothing wrong with her, and the inability to understand why my friend would not open her eyes. Needless to say, it was a horrible time. Not to say others haven't been fun, and I've even used since then, but I've decided to quit. I'm frying my brain. A Dissociative Rush. DXM and Ketamine trip report, uploaded to airwood.org on July 14th, 2002, by Blizzman. I previously used DXM several times over the past few years, and have had several good as well as a few bad experiences with it. One of the most unbelievable experiences I have had involved a small dose of DXM, with an unspecified amount of ketamine. By the way, I have always used pot about 1 hour after ingestion of the DXM, as it seems to immediately send me to a higher state of euphoria. I drank a half of a 4-ounce bottle of Robitussin maximum strength cough, went and jumped into the shower to wait for the onset and to pass a little time. I like showers because no matter how fucked up I am, it seems to be unnoticeable in the shower. I got out about 30 minutes later and could feel a slight buzz coming on. I went ahead and rolled up a blunt for the 1 hour mark and just sat until that time. At the 1 hour mark, I lit up the blunt, smoked about 1/3 of it, and as usual, it immediately sent me to the second plateau. About 10 minutes after that, I decided to snort the huge line of K that I had, so I did, and was sitting at my computer, already feeling pleasant. I was looking on the web to see if anyone else had done this combination, when all of a sudden, all of the words on the screen shot off to the right and went up the side of the screen and started making circles around the screen, kind of like a hypnosis spiral. Soon after this, I began feeling very, very sick and made my way to the bathroom in a stagger similar to a high dose of DXM. I vomited until there was nothing left to vomit, which was also very unpleasant. At this point, I felt the out-of-body experience coming on. I laid my head on the toilet in awe for about 10 minutes, and then was able to get up and go lay on my bed. I had planned on smoking the rest of the blunt, but I was way too out of it to even mess with a fire. I laid down, still feeling very sick, and I assumed that I passed out, as I remember nothing after that. Overall, I would say this is a memorable experience, but not very pleasant at all. I just got sent to the highest plateau way too quickly, and it overcame my body and my mind. Treatment for bipolar type 1. Ketamine, DXM, and pharmaceuticals, trip report, uploaded to arrowwood.org on April 15th, 2020 by Keep On Trying. Is it accurate to call it a trip report at this point when we're talking about, like, medication? I don't know. I have bipolar disorder type 1, and I have been through many cycles of severe depression and severe mania. 3 years ago, I was a few minutes from ending my life. My brother told me to go to a ketamine clinic. I decided this would be the last treatment I try before I end it all. Immediately after my first infusion, I already started to get better. I had a lot of ups and downs, but after my first 6 infusions, the depression was gone. I went from the worst suicidal depression of my life to stable in about 3 weeks. It's a lifesaver. I've never had an episode of depression that serious since. I take a combination of IV ketamine, oral ketamine, DXM, the pack coat 1000 mg daily, Prestige 50 mg daily, hydroxyzine as needed, and microdoses of LSD on rare occasions. This effectively treats both the depression and the mania for me personally. It takes discipline and balance to maintain. I go for an IV infusion about every 3 months. I take the lozenges on an as-needed basis. What that means is some weeks I'll take it every day, and some weeks I won't take it at all. I usually take 200 to 300 milligrams orally when I take it, but other times I'll just take 100 milligrams oral. Never less and never more than 300 milligrams. 170 pounds, 6 feet tall, 35 years old, diagnosed at 18. I took a lot of DXM over the past 3 years as well. DXM is not an easy drug to take, and it is not safe to take without the supervision of a doctor, but I had to do what I had to do. I will say that not only did DXM make me feel better, but it also made me feel a lot smarter at life in general. It took me out of my head for the first time and allowed me to process the world better. DXM helped me take breaks from ketamine. There's cross-tolerance between them somewhat, but they are also different in other ways. DXM helped me learn how to take care of myself in my illness. Let me put it this way. With ketamine, it is hard to bring back with me what I learned, but with DXM it is much easier. My DXM dose is 300 milligrams to 400 milligrams, never more than 400 milligrams, never more than twice a month, always on an empty stomach. I use very small doses of LSD for small depressive episodes. I have no idea how it works, but if I feel a small depressive episode coming on, a trip on LSD will stop the depression from setting in. This does not work for major depression, and it is not something I do often. I take about 25 micrograms. Ketamine is not a miracle cure, but it is a powerful, effective tool that has been continuing to help me. My first IV infusion of Ket was 25 milligrams, and I tripped balls. Now I can take 100 milligrams without batting an eye. My first DXM dose was 150 milligrams, and it was massively intense. Quickly, a permanent tolerance built up. Always start small, and always increase the dose later. I do not know the long-term consequences of this treatment plan, but I am still continuing it because I would not be able to survive without it. I have entered the K-hole one time, and it was the worst experience of my life. However, I survived it, and it strengthened me. This happened off of 100 milligrams IV ketamine. My doctors concluded that combining ketamine with NAD+ significantly reduces the risk of a bad trip. I use NAD with my ketamine, and it makes taking the K much easier. I receive both ketamine and NAD intravenously at the same time. Reported dose: 100 to 300 milligram ketamine oral as needed, 100 milligram ketamine IV once every 3 months, 300 milligrams DXM as needed. Alright, I have a lot to say about that last one in particular, but we'll get to that. Let's go through these in order of when I read them. Don't actually have that much to say about the salvia one. I do think it's interesting and kind of funny that they got, like, you know, the classic, oh shit, the whole universe is a big practical joke on me and all my friends are in on it salvia thing. You know, nothing new, nothing we ain't seen before. We've all seen the time knife, but it's always fun to read about. I included the second trip report here because I do think it's important for people to understand the potential harm some of this stuff can cause. I mean, they said they were chugging Caricidin, HBP. I don't know what's in that. For all I know, some of the non-DXM stuff in that is what's causing their potential brain damage, if they even are having brain damage. I don't know. Clearly it's been having some sort of negative effect on them, though. I have heard plenty of other stories. I mean, people act like DXM's like nothing, but like, for one, you can have some seriously intense experiences off of cough medicine, and for two, it can be like, I've heard a lot of stories of people who have developed depression because they use it too often. The other person mentioning never more than twice a month is probably a decent limiter. I mean, I've heard that like 1 week for each plateau you do, so if you do a second plateau trip, you don't want to take it again within 2 weeks of that. Probably shouldn't be doing it more than twice a month in general, no matter what. I don't know. I do that shit once every, like, year, maybe? Also, friendly reminder, if you're gonna do DXM, don't chug cough syrup. Just buy the fucking, the pure tablets that's just the dextromethorphan in it. The rest of the stuff in the cough syrup is bad for you, and I imagine it's not a pleasant experience to consume. I've never done it because I know better. But yeah, these things can definitely be dangerous for your mental health. Or, if you are at the end of your fucking rope with bipolar disorder, and you don't know what to do, and DXM apparently helps and seems at least somewhat sustainable, seriously, like, as someone with bipolar, I'm type 2, so I don't really get the mania, I just get the depression for the most part. Sometimes I'm jealous of type 1 people. It's like, oh, you feel really happy and amazing sometimes? Oh, wow. And then I see that they spend like $10,000 that they don't have all of a sudden because they feel like they're invincible, and I'm like, ah, that's the catch. So I don't know who has it worse, but it's not a contest. But yeah, that time I did 6.66 grams of shrooms in the woods, and Mother Nature slapped me in the face and showed me how weak I really was. When she thoroughly hammered home the point that my brain was just made broken and there's nothing I can do software-wise to fix it, I just have to find the right medication. Because that's what bipolar is like. It's not like typical depression where it can be caused by, you know, having poor life circumstances or having someone very close to you passing or anything like that. It's just like, for literally no reason other than because the wires in your brain are fucked up, you'll just sometimes feel so fucking awful that you know for a fact you cannot live like that. After that trip, I had decided I had to either find a way to feel okay, or I was going to kill myself. Because I was just in so much fucking pain. If you don't know what having bipolar is like, count your blessings, because, dude, like, I start tearing up just fucking thinking about what it was like back then. So you know suffering, right? You know the emotion of suffering? Where, like, maybe you're in pain in some way, and it's like, ow, ow, ow. Or, you know, maybe something makes you very upset, and inside your heart you're like, ow, ow, ow. Now, imagine that the pain isn't coming from your emotional center or from any, like, nerve endings, but there's just pain. Like, it's just the raw sensation of suffering for no fucking reason for like half of the days of your life, or more. It started getting to be worse than half of my days toward the end of my 20s. It progresses, it gets worse. For the love of God, if you have bipolar disorder, don't buy into the like, oh yeah man, therapy and psychedelic consciousness expansion can cure any ailment. No. There are some ailments that literally just you need the medication. For the love of God, if you have bipolar, especially if you're young, get medication. It's going to get worse, and at some point you are probably going to want to kill yourself. 1/3 of people with bipolar disorder attempt suicide. Okay? You understand? Get what you need. This person found something that worked for them. Is it healthy? Is it going to be good for them in the long term? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're using this stuff particularly often, so it doesn't even sound that bad. But like, even if they face serious problems like 30 years from now and their quality of life takes a nosedive, hell, even if it takes a nosedive so bad that they then want to kill themselves again, at least they didn't have to suffer for those 30 years. You know, at least they got some good life out of it. But they'll probably be okay for longer than that, I imagine, at the rate that they're using this stuff. I guess there's not that many long-term studies on this, but I don't know. Now, it should be stated, self-medicating is something you should generally avoid unless you really know what you're doing. Odds are, if you find a psychiatrist, there's a good chance they're gonna know more than you about how this stuff works. There's also a chance that they won't. I have had 2 psychiatrists who did not know what the fuck they were talking about, but I had another one who did. And here's how you tell, okay? If they try to prescribe you something that you've researched and you don't really think particularly makes sense, or they aren't willing to prescribe something that you think does make sense, and you ask them why they don't want to prescribe you that, or why they do want to give you an SSRI even though you've already tried 2 and they both made you worse. And if they can't give you an actual answer, if all they say is, well, this is how it's done, this is the standard practice, find a new psychiatrist. Because that is not a person who understands the subject matter, that is a person who has memorized the subject matter. They're playing a fucking Chinese room with people's lives, or whatever it's called. Like, they know the facts, but they don't know why the facts are like that, and they can't. It is the equivalent of memorizing the fact that 7 times 7 equals 49, and that 7 times 6 equals 42, but like not actually understanding how multiplication works. You just like memorize each answer one by one. Just make sure they know what they're talking about. And sometimes self-medication, I mean, there are trans people who definitely benefit from self-medication at times. I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm not suggesting you order your hormones on the internet without a doctor's supervision, but you know, sometimes doctors don't want to give you what you know you need. And sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, like what this person did. My version of this was, I decided that until I got the medication, I was just going to be high for the rest of my life every single day. If that was like, if the only way for me to feel like life was worth living was to just fill nearly every hour of every day of mine with weed, then so be it. I would rather face all of the downsides of that than live without it, because living without it is far worse. I intentionally decided to get addicted. I knew I was going to. It was just preferable. Anything was better than how I was by default. But I'm currently on 2 milligrams Abilify. Was 200 milligrams Lamictal. Is that what this is? It's 200, right? 200 milligrams Lamictal. The Lamictal stabilizes my mood so it doesn't swing up and down as much, and the Abilify makes my default state a little bit less depressed. I'm also on Vyvanse because I also have ADHD for some fucking reason. ADHD and bipolar is a pretty nasty combination because it's like you're doubly fucked in the motivation department. You can never get anything done. That's been the story of my life, is not being able to get anything done until I got my Vyvanse prescription and my bipolar meds. And now I can actually live like a normal fucking person. It's insane. Like, I tried it. I tried fixing myself purely psychologically. I tried going to therapy. I tried psychedelics. I tried looking inward, searching for whatever thing was holding me back, whatever knot I had to untangle, and I just kept looking and looking and looking. I took the satanic dose of mushrooms. I looked into the deepest, darkest parts of me, searching for the source of the pain. But I realized there was nothing inside the framework of my brain that was causing the suffering. The framework itself was causing the suffering, and I had to fix it. And I fixed it, thanks to the miracle of modern medicine. People like me, who would normally be called by Mother Nature for our weakness, get to live. I'm able to be somewhat productive now. I'm still getting better at it, but like I feel like I actually have a chance now. I'm no longer in a near constant state of pointless, nebulous suffering. Man, I spent years not being able to do anything, and like I feel like my entire 20s just passed me by, and I was watching them pass me by as it happened. It was like I was just watching myself fucking die in slow motion. I'm like, I have so much time in the day. I have so many things I want to do. Why can't I fucking do any of them? But now I can. And I hope this person can too. Our brains are all fucked up in different ways, and everyone needs something a little different. Some people need therapy, some people need psychedelics, some people need traditional medication, and some people take what they can get. Or have to go on very specific regimens like this person. But if it works, it works. That's all I'm trying to say. You're not cheating by doing this. There's no reason to raw dog life when you could live a much happier and more productive one by taking proper medication if you're the kind of person who needs it. And I certainly don't feel like I'm cheating by using a stimulant to be productive, considering the fact that I can't do fucking anything without it. Like, it makes me feel like what a normal person feels like. That's the neat thing about having ADHD. I don't even know if cocaine would fucking do anything to me other than make me feel like a normal person. It probably would. I'm not gonna do cocaine. Don't do cocaine. That shit's bad. Alright, think I said what I wanted to say. I'm gonna end the video today. I hope you enjoyed and or learned something from this video. If I see anyone in the comments trying to tell me that I could do this without medication, I will tear you limb from limb. Trust me, I tried that route. You don't know what it's like inside this skull. I have some serious fucking problems with certain sects of the psychedelic community. The people who tend to look down upon psychiatric medication in general. I'm sure I will have many more words for those people in the future. Especially if any of them think they can come crawling into my community without me verbally beating the shit out of them. We'll get there if we get there. Anyway, good night.